Hello from Halifax. This is Jo with Jo to the World Creations, and today we're going to be making my textured V-stitch blanket crochet pattern. I'm really excited to share this crochet blanket pattern with you, and we're going to be getting right to the video tutorial. Everything you need to know about this pattern, including the hook size and all the yarn details, as well as the step-by-step written instructions. It's all available entirely for free on my website, and there's a link in the description below this video. All right, let's get started. We're going to start by making a slip knot. Put your slip knot on your hook and pull tight. Now we're going to chain 92. For this video tutorial, I'm going to be making a small swatch, so I'll be chaining 17. After you've made your number of starting chains, come back to the video. For row 1, we're going to be working into the back ridge loops, which are these bumps along the back. We're going to start by working into the second chain from the hook. We're going to twist our work and insert our hook into the second back ridge loop. And into that back ridge loop, we're going to single crochet. We're going to single crochet all the way across. So insert your hook into the back ridge loop of each chain and single crochet all the way across. I'm almost finished single crocheting in each chain all the way across. I have one chain left. Nothing special happens, but just to show you, I'm still working into the back ridge loop of that last chain, and my last stitch is a single crochet stitch in the last chain. To start row 2, we are going to chain 2, 1, 2, and turn our work. We are going to skip the first stitch. This is the stitch that's attached to the chain 2 we just made, so we're not going to work into that stitch. In the next stitch, we are going to make 2 half double crochets and then chain 1 and make 2 more half double crochets in the same stitch. So skip the first stitch. In the next stitch, make a half double crochet stitch. And then make another half double crochet stitch in the same stitch. Then chain 1 and make 2 more half double crochet stitches into the same stitch. There's my first of 2, and here is my second half double crochet stitch into the same stitch. Now we're going to begin the repeat portion of the row. So this is what we're going to be completing all the way across until there's 2 stitches left. We are going to skip the next 2 stitches. So we don't work into the next 2. Into the next stitch, we're going to do what we just did. We're going to make 2 half double crochet stitches, chain 1, and make 2 more half double crochet stitches into the same stitch. So skip this next 2 stitches, and then the next stitch, half double crochet, make another half double crochet stitch, chain 1, and into the same stitch, make a half double crochet stitch, and then another half double crochet stitch. And those are the steps you'll be repeating all the way across the row until there are 2 stitches left. I have 2 stitches left. We're going to skip the next stitch, and in the last stitch, make 1 half double crochet stitch. You can refer to the written instructions for the exact number of stitches you should have in this row. And a quick note that the chains, so the chain 2 that we made to start the row, and anytime we made a chain 1, those do not count as stitches. To start row 3, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. The first thing we're going to be doing is making a double crochet stitch. We are going to be inserting our hook into the single crochet stitch from 2 rows below, the exact same place where we made the 2 half double crochet stitches, the chain 1 and the 2 other half double crochet stitches. So we're going to be inserting our hook right here. So we're inserting a hook from front to back, and then we're going to bring our hook out underneath the chain 1 that we made in between the 2 sets of half double crochet stitches. So we insert our hook, there's a little gap right here, it's a single crochet stitch from 2 rows below. We're going to insert our hook right under those half double crochet stitches, and then bring our hook out underneath the chain 1. And then we're going to double crochet. So in order to make a double crochet stitch, the first thing we need to do is yarn over. Now we're going to insert our hook from front to back into that single crochet stitch that we made from 2 rows below, and we're going to bring our hook out under the chain 1. So this is what it looks like. If you flip it over, you can see it there. Now I've yarned over, so I'm now going to complete my double crochet stitch. And I do that by yarning over and bringing the yarn through the place where I inserted my hook. So I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, bring the yarn through just 2 loops on your hook. 2 loops are left, yarn over and bring that yarn through the 2 loops on my hook. So we've just completed our first double crochet stitch. Next, we're going to be working into the chain 1 space. This is the space between the 2 sets of half double crochet stitches. This set is a little bit covered now from our double crochet stitch. So it's, remember when we just inserted our hook and we brought it out under the chain 1 space? So this time we're going to insert our hook right directly into this chain 1 space. That's where we're going to be working. And into that chain 1 space, we're going to do the following things. We're going to half double crochet, so we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that chain 1 space, yarn over, bring up a loop, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, bring that yarn through all 3 loops. So now we have a half double crochet stitch completed in the chain 1 space. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to make another half double crochet stitch into the same chain 1 space. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the same place we just made our other half double crochet stitch, bring up a loop, and then finish our half double crochet stitch. So now we have a half double crochet, chain 1, and half double crochet stitch into that chain 1 space. The last step is to make another double crochet stitch. And this time we're going to do almost the exact opposite to what we did when we made our first double crochet stitch. We're going to be inserting our hook into the chain 1 space, the exact space where we just made the half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. So we're going to insert our hook into that chain 1 space and bring it out under the half double crochet stitches we made from the previous row. So this is that same single crochet stitch that we started working our first step in, and we're going to bring our hook out at that place right there. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the chain 1 space, and bring our hook out in the single crochet stitch from 2 rows below. I find at this point it was easier to rotate my work and just kind of put my work down a little bit so I can easily finish my single or my double crochet stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, pull that yarn through the place where I've inserted my hook. So I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, bring that yarn through 2 loops, yarn over, bring the yarn through the last 2 loops. This is what we're going to be doing all the way across. Let's do it again. The first step is to make a double crochet stitch by inserting our hook into the single crochet stitch from 2 rows below and bringing our hook out in the chain 1 space that was created in the previous row. So to start our double crochet stitch, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that single crochet stitch from 2 rows below and bring our hook out into the chain 1 space from below, and then double crochet. Now we're going to work into the chain 1 space from the row below. So we're going to half double crochet into that chain 1 space, chain 1, and make another half double crochet stitch into the same chain 1 space. And the last step is to make a final double crochet stitch. We're going to start by inserting a hook into the same chain 1 space that we just worked into and bring the hook out from the single crochet stitch from 2 rows below. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that chain 1 space and bring our hook out in the single crochet stitch from 2 rows below. I'm rotating my work here just so you can easily see it and just holding my work down. Yarn over, bring the yarn through the place where we've just inserted our hook, and then finish your double crochet stitch. Let's do it one more time. First, let's make our double crochet stitch. And then working into the chain 1 space, half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet in the same chain 1 space, and then let's make a second double crochet stitch. You go ahead and repeat that all the way across, and then come back to the video and we will do the last one together. So I'm almost finished the row and we will do this last one together. So step 1, make a first double crochet stitch. Nothing's really special happening on this last one, but just to show you how to complete the row. There is one final step though after we complete this stitch. So I've made my first double crochet stitch. Now I'm going to make half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, and then finally a second double crochet stitch. So once you've done that all the way across, and my work is curving here and that's completely okay, the last step in the row is to make 1 half double crochet stitch into the very last stitch. So it's not to be confused with the chain 2. You want to make sure you're actually working into the top of the last stitch. So These are the chain twos that we made that started the previous row. So you want to find the top of the last stitch. And if it's helpful, you can always put a stitch marker in the first stitch if you have troubles finding this stitch. And into this last stitch, we're going to make 1 half double crochet stitch into the top of the last stitch. Now we're going to start row 4, and row 4 is what we're going to be repeating for the rest of the pattern. To start row 4, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and turn our work. Row 4 is almost exactly the same as row 3. The only difference is where we insert our hook to make the first double crochet stitch, and also when we make our second double crochet stitch where the hook comes out of. So if you can recall, in the previous row we worked into the single crochet stitch from 2 rows below. Where we're going to be working in row 4 is right under where we made our half double crochet stitches. This is technically the chain 1 space from 2 rows below. And I find it's much easier to see this than to read this part, because there's a very clear gap that you can work into. And once you get the hang of this, I found it super easy. It's just trying to explain exactly where we insert our hook. So the first step, when we make our first double crochet stitch, we're going to be inserting our hook into the chain 1 space from 2 rows below. This is the row below, so we will be working into the chain 1 space from the row below when we go to make our half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. But to start, we're going to be working 2 rows below into the chain 1 space. Let's start with step 1, which is to make our first double crochet stitch. We're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the chain 1 space from 2 rows below and bring our hook out into the chain 1 space from the row below. Now we're going to yarn over, bring that yarn through the place where we've inserted our hook. We have 3 loops on our hook, and we just finish our double crochet as we would normally. Now we're going to work into the chain 1 space. This is the chain 1 space from the row below. Into this chain 1 space, we are going to half double crochet, chain 1, and make another half double crochet stitch into the same chain 1 space. Now we're going to make our second double crochet stitch. We're going to insert a hook into the chain 1 space from the row below and then bring our hook out in the chain 1 space from 2 rows below, and then double crochet. But our first step, because it's a double crochet, is that we need to yarn over. So yarn over, insert your hook into the chain 1 space from the row below and bring it out into the chain 1 space from 2 rows below. I always like to rotate my work for this one and just hold my work down, yarn over, bring that yarn through the place where we've inserted our hook, and then finish your double crochet. Let's do that again. We're going to insert our hook in the chain 1 space from 2 rows below and bring it out in the chain 1 space from the row below. So yarn over, insert your hook into the chain 1 space from 2 rows below and bring your hook out in the chain 1 space from the row below. And then double crochet normally. Now working into the chain 1 space from the row below, half double crochet, chain 1, and make another half double crochet stitch into that same chain 1 space. Now let's make our second double crochet stitch. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that same chain 1 space, and bring our hook out in the chain 1 space from 2 rows below. Yarn over, and then double crochet. One more time, make a double crochet, in the chain 1 space, half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. Our second double crochet stitch, you're going to do that all the way across. For your last time making this stitch, nothing special happens, but we can do that together. Same thing, first step, make a double crochet stitch. Working into the chain 1 space, half double crochet, chain 1, and then half double crochet. And finally, a second double crochet stitch. After doing that all the way across, your last stitch is a half double crochet stitch, just one, into the last stitch of the row. Making sure not to work into the chain 2, working into the very last stitch, into the top of that last stitch there. We're going to make one half double crochet stitch. For row 5 and on, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to repeat row 4. Let's do it really quickly one more time. We're going to chain 2 and turn. We're going to make a first double crochet stitch. And then into the chain 1 space, half double crochet, chain 1, and half double crochet. Then make a final double crochet stitch, and you're going to repeat that all the way across, making that stitch all the way across until your final stitch of the row, working into the top of the last stitch, make one half double crochet stitch. You can repeat row 4 until the height of your work matches your width, if you'd like it to be a square blanket, or feel free to continue repeating row 4 until you reach your desired height. You can end after any row. After you've reached your desired height, don't fasten off. Come back to the video and we will begin the border. Now we're going to start the border. To start border round 1, we are going to chain 1. We are not going to turn. We're going to be working down the side, so I'm just going to rotate my work so it's easier to work into. And we're going to be single crocheting evenly all the way down the side. And we're going to be working into the stitches at the ends of each row, not into spaces. The instructions just say to single crochet evenly down the side. The exact stitch count doesn't matter, but you just want to make sure that the single crochet stitches are evenly spaced out. What I found helpful was to use these V's. You can kind of see some V's sticking out here, and I use these as a guideline. And every time I saw a V, so here's a V right here, I would single crochet at the start of a V, single crochet in the middle of a V, and then at the end of a V. And I did that all the way down, and I found that really helped me have evenly spaced out single crochet stitches. So working on the side, find a good spot to start in and then single crochet into the stitches, not spaces. And you can work into one loop, or there might be some places where it's better to work under 2 loops. Either way is fine as long as you're not working into the spaces. So I've just made a single crochet stitch. I'm going to make another one nearby, near the top of the first V here, and then make another single crochet in the middle of the V. You don't need to copy my exact stitch placement. All you want to do is make sure your single crochet stitches are evenly spaced out all the way down the side. So I'm just about finished single crocheting all the way down the side, and in the last stitch, and there isn't an exact last stitch, but find your last stitch as you get to the bottom. You're going to make 3 single crochet stitches into the same stitch in order to create our first corner stitch. So find the most corner-like stitch that you can find. And for this one, I do like to personally find an area where I can insert my hook under 2 loops for the corner, just to try to prevent a gap. And into the same stitch, we're going to make 3 single crochet stitches. So I've made my first, and into the same stitch, I'm going to make a second single crochet stitch and then a third. And that's our first corner made. Now we're going to be working across the bottom into the chain stitches. So find the very first chain, and into that first chain under both loops, we're going to single crochet. We're going to single crochet in each chain across the bottom. These can be a little tight, but just take your time and make a single crochet stitch in each chain along the bottom. After single crocheting in each chain along the bottom, we're going to find our first stitch working up the side, and into that first stitch we're going to make 3 single crochet stitches. So just find the most corner-like stitch, and into that stitch make 3 single crochet stitches into the same stitch. Now working up the side, we're going to do the same thing we did when we worked down the side. We're going to single crochet evenly all the way up. And here you can see the V's. So you can, if you want to use that as a guide, you can single crochet the start of a V, in the middle of a V, and at the end of the V, all the way up. But again, your exact stitch placement does not matter. The goal is just to have evenly spaced out single crochet stitches all the way up. And again, work into stitches at the ends of each row, not into spaces. You go ahead and single crochet evenly all the way up, and they can be tight, but again, just take your time. Single crochet all the way up and then come back to the video. Once you've single crocheted all the way up, we're going to make our third corner in the top of the first double crochet stitch. So right into the top of this stitch, we'll make 3 single crochet stitches. working into the top of that first double crochet. There's 1, 2, and 3 single crochet stitches made in that first stitch. We're going to skip the next stitch, which is the top of the half double crochet stitch here. So we're not going to work into that. We're going to work into the chain 1 space. So under this chain 1, in between the 2 half double crochet stitches, and into this space, we're going to single crochet. So skip the next stitch into the chain 1 space, single crochet. And then we're going to skip the next stitch as well, which is the top of the next half double crochet stitch. So we skip the half double crochet stitch, and then we're going to single crochet in the top of this next double crochet stitch. So we'll make a single crochet stitch into the top of the next double crochet stitch from below. Now here are the steps we're going to be repeating all across the row. In the next stitch, which is the top of a double crochet stitch from below, we're going to single crochet. Now we're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to work into the chain 1 space here, and we're going to single crochet. We're going to skip the next stitch, the top of the half double crochet stitch from below, and make a single crochet in the top of the double crochet stitch from below. And we are going to repeat that all the way across. So one more time, in the top of the next double crochet stitch, we're going to single crochet. Skip the next stitch, into the chain 1 space, we're going to single crochet. Skip that, we don't work into the top of the half double crochet stitch, we work into the top of the next double crochet stitch. So in the top of that stitch, single crochet. And repeat that all the way across. After repeating that all the way across, you should have 1 stitch left. And in this last stitch, we're going to make 3 single crochet stitches in this last stitch. And this is our 4th corner. So working into the last stitch, make 3 single crochet stitches into the same stitch. Now we are going to slip stitch into the first single crochet stitch that we made to start border round 1. So slip stitch into that first single crochet stitch. To start border round 2, we're going to chain 2, and we are not going to turn. We're going to work into the first stitch, which is the stitch that's attached to the chain 2. And in that stitch, we're going to double crochet. For this round, we are going to make 1 double crochet stitch in each stitch all the way around, except for the corners. The corner stitch is the middle of the 3 single crochet stitches that we made in the previous round. When you get to this middle stitch for each 4 corners, you are going to make 9 double crochet stitches into the same stitch. But for every other stitch, simply make 1 double crochet stitch until you get to that corner stitch. So I've just made 1 double crochet stitch in each stitch. Now I'm at the corner stitch, this 1 stitch. We are going to make 9 double crochet stitches into the same stitch. after making 9 double crochet stitches into this stitch, the corner is going to balloon out a little bit. It might be bulging, might be wider than the rest of the border, and that's okay. So there's 9 double crochet stitches made into the same stitch. And after making your corner stitch, you go right back to making 1 double crochet stitch into the next stitch. So you go ahead and do this all the way around, and after finishing your last corner, come back to the video and we will finish the round together. I've just made my last corner and I have 1 stitch left. So into this last stitch, I'm going to make a double crochet stitch, just 1. If you have more stitches, just make 1 double crochet stitch until you're back at this chain 2 that started the round. This chain 2 that started the round does not count as a stitch. We're going to count our stitches all the way around, but not include that chain 2. So starting with the first double crochet stitch, count your stitches all the way around until the last stitch. You want to have an odd number of stitches at the end of this round. After counting your stitches, if you have an odd number of stitches, you can finish the round by slip stitching into the top of the first double crochet stitch that we made in this round to join. If you have an even number of stitches, simply make 1 other double crochet stitch into the last stitch so that your total number of stitches is odd. And then slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet stitch to join the round. To start border round 3, we're going to chain 2. We are not going to turn. We are not going to be working around the chain 2 from the previous round. We are going to leave this chain 2 completely unworked. The first stitch that we're going to be working around is the first double crochet stitch from the previous round. And what we'll be doing with this double crochet stitch is we're going to make a front post double crochet stitch around this first double crochet stitch. What we're going to do is yarn over, and we're going to insert our hook from the front to the back. So my hook is pointing towards the back, and I'm going to bring my hook out to the left of that same stitch. Now I'm going to double crochet as I normally would. So I yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull that yarn through, 2 loops on my hook, and then yarn over and pull the yarn through the last 2 loops. And there's my first front post double crochet stitch. Now we're going to work around the next stitch, and this time we're going to make a back post double crochet stitch. So we're going to yarn over, and this time insert our hook from the back to the front, but still to the right of the next stitch, and then bring our hook over the stitch and out to the left of it. Now we're going to yarn over, bring that yarn through the place where we've inserted our hook. So just to make sure you can see this, I'm yarning over and I'm pulling the yarn right where I had my hook, pulling it all the way through, bringing it up. So I have 3 loops on my hook, and now I just double crochet as I normally would. We're going to be repeating back post double crochet around the next stitch and front post double crochet around the next stitch all the way around. So let's do our next front post double crochet stitch. Yarn over, inserting our hook to the right, coming out of the left of the stitch. Yarn over, bring the yarn through the place where we inserted our hook, and then double crochet. Let's do a back post double crochet around the next stitch. Yarn over, inserting our hook from back to front and then to the left of it, yarn over, bring that yarn through, pull it up, and then double crochet. Front post double crochet stitch, back post double crochet stitch. And then front post double crochet stitch. You're going to repeat that all the way around. When you get to the corners, nothing special happens. You just keep repeating. We just did a front post, so it would be back post, front post, back post, front post, and you continue that pattern when you get to all the corner stitches. Nothing special happens. You go ahead and do this all the way around and then come back to the video when you're nearing the end and we'll finish the round together. So I've just been repeating that all the way around. I have one stitch left to work around, and so here is my last stitch, and it's not to be confused with the chain 2 from the previous round. So I've just made a back post double crochet stitch around the second last stitch. So my very last stitch in this round is a front post double crochet stitch around the last stitch. We're going to just leave this chain 2 completely unworked. So around this last stitch, we're going to make a front post double crochet stitch. For the rest of the pattern, you're going to finish the round in exactly the same way. You're going to slip stitch into the top of the first front post double crochet stitch that was made in that round to join. You're going to do this is the exact same way you'll finish off every round for the rest of the pattern. So slip stitch into the top of that first front post double crochet stitch to join. Border round 4 and 5 are exactly the same. You're going to be doing the exact same thing for both rounds, and here are the instructions. You're going to chain 2 and you're not going to turn. You're going to leave the chain 2 from the round below unworked. The first stitch that you'll make is a front post double crochet stitch around the front post double crochet stitch from the round below. So yarn over, make a front post double crochet stitch around the first front post double crochet stitch from the round below. Then you'll be repeating the following all the way around. Around the next stitch, we are going to make a back post double crochet stitch, and you'll notice you'll always be making back post double crochet stitches around back post double crochet stitches from the round below. So make a back post double crochet stitch around the next stitch, and then around the next stitch make a front post double crochet stitch around the front post double crochet stitch from the round below. And simply repeat that all the way around. So you'll do, I've just made a front post, so the next stitch would be a back post, front post, back post, front post, all the way around. Nothing special happens at the corners. And when you get back to the place that you started, your last stitch in the round will be a front post double crochet stitch around the last front post double crochet stitch from the previous round. You don't do anything with the chain 2, and after your last stitch, you'll slip stitch into the top of the first stitch made, which is this front post double crochet stitch, and you'll slip stitch into the top of that stitch to join the round. And you're going to do that for round 4 and 5, and then after finishing border round 5, fasten off and weave in all your loose ends. And you will now have a brand new textured V-stitch blanket. That concludes this video tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy making this blanket. I'm here if you have any questions or if there's anything at all I can do to help. Please let me know. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.